Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
What are you going to do when Kirk Cousins goes somewhere else? I mean, that game last night that he played was almost perfect. And 45 dropbacks, no sacks, getting everybody involved, calm, doesn't look pretty back there, gets the job done. And you want another quarterback? They want another quarterback? Like, who the hell is going to stand in there the way that he stands in there and throws the ball accurately each and every week? And he's doing it without Justin Jefferson. And he's out there with a bunch of young kids, an offensive line that, is a good offensive line that played really well last night, especially pass blocking. But, man, that guy has got guts. He stands in there, makes plays. I mean, what are you going to do, dude?
Well, I'm not the one making the decisions, but at this point, I would keep him. I said it at the beginning of the year that this was a weird time to finally say goodbye to Kirk Cousins, and it seems like this was the plan all along. And the fact that they didn't let this season play out, and they already made that decision, and now they're winning games, so they're going to be screwed. It's not like this thing fell off the face of the earth, and they're going to be in the top 5 of the draft. And I know you hate this, but if you look at the schedule, there's some winnable games on there for them, and they could get right back in this thing. So what the hell do you do in that situation?
You give him a contract extension.
But this GM is so against that, apparently, which drives me crazy, which he's going to be stubborn with it. And I think they're going to make a critical error, and I think it's also going to piss off Justin Jefferson, and I think this guy is going to go down as a miserable GM in their history if he lets that happen.
Here's the thing. Like, Justin Jefferson's sitting there on the sideline watching this.
Yeah.
And, I think back to what he said when he was asked about his quarterback being a top 5 quarterback, and he said no. And I'm watching this game last night, and, I mean, you're talking about San Francisco, one of the faster teams on defense, one of the better pass rushing teams on defense, and he is standing in there. And I mean, he is delivering darts. And I mean, yeah, there's a little bit of a bow to his football. It doesn't come like out, and it's not like ripping down there like some of the other guys that we see in the league. But my God, he just stands in there, and he throws and he handles like the pass rush. He knows all the plays. He knows how to do a screen. He knows when to throw it away. I mean, that was about as perfect a game as you're going to play.
Well, this is now the 3rd year that he has played like that. And the reason that they won last night, because he's been consistent. I mean, this is not a knock on him.
The defense has been good.
Right, but this is not a knock on him saying that he wasn't the reason why they won that game last night, because I don't really worry about him. And I understand the big, it's a Monday night game. It's a primetime game. He's not going to show up. I don't really worry about how he's going to play himself. What I worry about is the factors around him. And this is why I was saying that Kirk Cousins on the Jets is a different story if the Jets defense is playing the way that they have and their offensive line can hold up in the run game. So last night, you saw the best offensive line play the Vikings have had all year, the best running game that they have had all year as Madison looked better than ever and Akers got involved, and the best defense they've played all year. And then you add the solid, very good, borderline, great every week play of the quarterback, then you might have something.
Yeah, I don't know.
But the problem is it's never consistent.
Other than Patrick Mahomes, I mean, is there anybody more consistent in terms of the numbers?
Not in the last 3 years, no. I mean, and he was actually down a little bit statistically last year when they were winning games. And the year previous, they weren't winning as many games, and he had a great statistic year. But no, He just the only issue with him is the fact that most people, and I need to see the defense play like that for almost every week for me to believe, but most people believe in that very tough game, especially on the road against a good defense, he's not going to show up. That's the only issue with Kirk Cousins. But when you look at the quarterback play in the league, and we had a caller yesterday talk about how many bad quarterbacks they've been, and it feels like the quarterback play is down except for the top of the top. I mean, he is as consistent as it gets. And things changed last year with the season that he had when he got the crap kicked out of him and he played every game and they won in dramatic fashion. And then the quarterback documentary. I mean, this is a guy whose entire the conversation around him has changed so dramatically over the last couple of years because of his consistency and the type of guy he is, and he takes all these hits. So,
for guys like me and Phil Simms who have been in that pocket, who have sat in there and have watched him play, we all just he and I shake our head at like all this criticism that gets thrown at him.
Well, it's changed the last couple of years.
I know, but still, even like when he first got to Minnesota, he obviously had to take the team to the next step. And as you pointed out many times, he was not a part of the Minnesota Miracle. That was Case Keenum. And he just hasn't gotten that team to the next level, whatever level that is. And that's most likely a Super Bowl or at least an NFC Championship game. And he's eaten up a lot of the salary cap. They paid a lot of money to keep him there. And I would say that right now, the way that he played last night, I know they have a losing record. How do you not give him a contract extension? How do you not go 4 years, somewhere 45 to 50 million a year? I mean, that's what he's giving you.
Yeah, no, he is. I mean, he looks like a guy that can keep playing even though he's in his mid-30s. He does take a beating, but he takes care of himself, as we saw in the quarterback documentary. I mean, I would at this point, and that opinion has changed in the last couple of years because of what I've seen from him. And I do think here's. I guess what it really comes down to with him is I feel like in order to, and this is a very big ask, but this is what a team like the Minnesota Vikings and the fan base that is associated with them think about, because they've never won a Super Bowl, and it's been a long time since they've won an NFC Championship game, and they've had miserable NFC Championship game experiences over the last number of years, is that everything needs to be perfect for him to get to that Super Bowl. And I think that's why some of that criticism happens. For example, like the 49ers, without Deebo Samuel, without Trent Williams last night, and I understand the Vikings didn't have Justin Jefferson, in Minnesota, they could beat the 49ers. If that was a playoff game, they could do that again. But if you sent them out to San Francisco, they'd get killed out there on grass against a good defense. You send them to Philadelphia in the playoffs, they'd get killed. So, that is the thing, and that's the conundrum. What is it about? So you could get to this certain point with him, but do you believe you can get a 1 seed and play all your home playoff games and get? So that's really what it is.
And even last year, they had didn't have 1 seed, but they had a home playoff game against the Giants and got smoked. Now, that was because their defense was horrific. But Brian Flores has at least settled that part of it down.
Yeah, so far, yes. And with less talent, too, on paper than they had last year, which is impressive. I guess it's sort of like when you're thinking about, if you're going to propose to somebody or not. And then you think well, there's one big thing out there that she or he doesn't do, or if even a female is deciding if they're going to say yes to a partner for the rest of their life. There's one thing that I really don't like about him, but man, there's all this other good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And then you say to yourself, but is it really going to get better than this? You know what I'm saying?
That performance last night, man, was picture perfect. I mean, he handled the pass rush. He saw the blitzes. I mean, that is a training tape for all young quarterbacks to watch.
And he did it when people were talking about him not being able to perform on a Monday night stage. So, yeah, I mean, and also the fact that the defense played as well as it did and the turnovers is a huge factor, because they were at one point the worst turnover differential team in football, and that was a big reason why they got off to their miserable start. So this Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, who is the general manager of the Minnesota Vikings, is now his plan is being and here's the other thing.
You know what? I love to have that guy Mensah play quarterback for 1 quarter.
Yeah.
He's probably making his pants.
I know. Well, he's the thing. He's also a very analytical guy. He's sort of like the David Stearns of the NFL type of thing.
Yeah, go out there and stand in the middle of that pocket, son.
But here's the other part of this too.
God.
I know that Kirk Cousins said he wouldn't waive his no trade clause, but if you're him, and the general manager hasn't made a commitment to you yet, and you feel like they want to move on from you, why would you want to stay?
I'll tell you why. You go out there, you bust your ass, you do what he did last night, and then you become a free agent, and then somebody will give you a huge contract.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
They'll take you. So
but my question was, why would you want to stay there in Minnesota?
Well, I'll tell you why, because you got a good offensive team. You know the offense. The coach knows you. You know the players around you. You're going to get Justin Jefferson back. I mean, they got some good young talent on that team. You got Hawkinson there. There's no reason for him to leave. It's just really the motivation for him now is to get this team to the playoffs and show everybody just how good he is. I'm telling you, this performance last night should be a training tape for young quarterbacks. This is how you do it.
Yeah.
This is how you stand in there. This is how you navigate the pocket. You don't run around like a lunatic, with your head cut off and try to throw the ball downfield and into two safeties. You do what he did. And I'm telling you, he was he was awesome last night. I don't know. I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew that performance last night is exactly how you're supposed to play quarterback.
Remember the call we had last week of the guy who said, how do you think that, or why do you believe that Kirk Cousins would be any better than Zach Wilson on the Jets?
You saw it last night, that's why.
I mean, and then I gave all the stats, obviously, and then you see also the play last night. But I mean, for the detractors of him, and I am a supporter now with the way that he has played the last couple of years, but I still believe that this is the way that it could end up. What they'll do now is they'll either do enough to tease you and believe that they can go on a run in the playoffs and just miss, or they'll get in as a wild card team and then get whacked by one of the good teams in the NFC on the road. And that's the ceiling. That is in essence, that is the problem. So if you're the general manager of the Minnesota Vikings and Ziggy Wolf goes to you, we have to win a Super Bowl. Like this, you have to be the general manager of us winning a Super Bowl. And he's thinking, God, if I could only just get my hands on Caleb Williams somehow, some way.
Well,
that's what everybody thinks, right?
Well, Kirk Cousins is not going to let that happen.
Right. But that's what someone thinks, because you look at the history and the history of the history, and there's only to a certain point that he has gotten teams, and then that's it. So you think, could we build a good enough team around him to be able to overcome some of those factors? And to me, the only answer, the only time that answer is yes, is if they have home field advantage.
You know who is in that same situation? That same, we're really good, but, man, we ain't getting that far. We're going to give everybody a fight. We're going to give everybody everything we got. But you know what? We just don't have what it takes to win a championship. It reminds me so much so, especially after what happened yesterday and what was announced yesterday in the world of sports. And that was a Giannis Antetokounmpo contract extension with Milwaukee. It's the Knicks. The Knicks are the same, Kirk Cousins is Julius Randle. I'm just telling you, they are top-end players. They produce, they put up numbers.
Yeah.
And then there are times where you're just frustrated with the guy because he's not LeBron James. He's not Giannis. He's not Joel Embiid. He's not Steph Curry. But he's a great player nonetheless. It's just that he's not one of those players.
And it could only take you so far. You believe that he could only take. But if there was one more guy on that team, you believe that it wasn't all up to him. And that's why I keep bringing up, if you've got a great offensive line, a running game, and a great defense, Kirk Cousins could win you a Super Bowl if you didn't have to go somewhere like San Francisco or Philadelphia. He could get you there.
I mean, if he went to San Francisco, he's not going there because they like Brock Purdy. But if he ever ended up with that team would get there. But here's the thing, it's a really weird situation that you literally have about 7 or 8 guys in the NFL that could do what he did last night. That's about it. That's it. That's how hard it is. That's how quick it is. That's how physical it is. That's how demanding from a mental standpoint that the position is.
Do you like that?
Yeah, I do I do like that, Al. And I did like that. So, but the point is that not very many guys can do what he did last night against that defense. Now, they only scored 22 points, and they had obviously a missed field goal. They would have had a few more. But and by the way, it was so weird because I felt like watching this game last night as they got to the 2-minute warning. It was 3rd down, and San Francisco had no timeouts left. And, the Eagles threw the ball on 3rd down, and it was an interception by the Jets that led to a touchdown. Last night, Kevin O'Connell played it pretty conservative. He ran the ball on 3rd down, ran the clock all the way down. They attempted a field goal. They missed it. Now, they were also up 5 points. They weren't up 2 points.
Still would have been a 1-score game that would have needed a 2-point conversion, the 49ers. But still,
if they would have made the field goal. But they missed the field goal is what I'm saying. But the point being is that's what the Eagles should have done last week. Not obviously it would have been a punt and would not have been an extra, a field goal attempt. But he played it conservatively last night, and he won the game. And really nobody can bitch and complain about his decision on 4th down.
Yeah, I mean, I think the most impressive thing I know for you was Kirk Cousins, but for me it was that defense stepping up against an offense that was a well-oiled machine. And I know that there was no Deebo Samuel, and that is part of the conversation, but just to have those turnovers and those picks and to force Brock Purdy into making mistakes that we have not really seen him make in his career, I mean, that to me was awesome. That gave me a little bit of hope that they could get back into the conversation and maybe be a playoff team, especially when you look around the division. They still got 2 games against the Packers, another game against the Rams. Another game against the Bears, rather. So, I mean, it's...
What player, how many players are going to give you 35 of 45 for 378 and 2 touchdowns?
Against one of the league's best defense.
Yeah, dude, that is like a perfect game.
Yeah.
And he threw an interception, but
that interception was sort of like the ball was wrestled away from Addison.
Exactly. It was a contested catch.
Right.
So the thing is that, and he's doing this without Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson stayed on the sideline with the sunglasses on and his hoodie up.
Guy's so cool, man.
He is, man. He drips. He oozes cool.
Yeah, he really does.
But think about that for a second. The best wide receiver in football is not even out on the field. And, Justin Jefferson, be careful for what you wish for, because you're going to get your contract and you're going to want to play with some rookie quarterback or some other quarterback that can't get you the ball. Good luck. That's the future of the Vikings. The future of the Vikings is going to be, okay, Kirk Cousins is gone. Who's playing quarterback?
I hope
and
that
you're going to have receivers bitching and complaining left and right.
Listen, what I would do is I'd try to build the best team around him now. That's what I would do. I don't think general manager's going to have to change his mind, though, because everything out of there is that we're moving on. So maybe Kirk Cousins is going to prove them wrong, or maybe he gets to the point at the end of the season where he has this great year, he takes them to the playoffs again, and they come back from being 1-4, and then he gets to free agency and says, screw you, you didn't want me, when they come running back to him saying, well, we changed our mind. That's a possibility, too.
Thanks so much for watching the video.
Please like and subscribe.
And don't forget to hit the bell so you're notified when we're dropping new content.